Welcome to the Celia Crossbody. This is a sewing pattern which comes in two different versions, the classic version or the bonus version. The base is quite the same, but they differ in a few points, and you can even hack this into a small mini backpack. But let's start with preparing our pattern. Please download the pattern and print it directly from Adobe Reader. Do not print it out of the browser. When you open your file, make sure you've downloaded the right file, if it's DIN-A4 or in inches, and then select actual size and scale it to 100%, or choose actual size, then print. And please check the square on the pattern pieces if your measurements are correct. In this case, I'll be using a lightweight cotton for a lining, a fall leather as a contrast fabric, and my main fabric is an outdoor fabric which is water resistant. When it comes to the interfacing, there are many options. My favorite choices are Decophyllite. This is a volume fleece, but in this case I've used this foam for the first time, which is self-adhesive, and I love. It's very handy. This is H250, and for the lining pieces I've used G700. We also need hardware, as in 2 D-rings. We do need lots of zipper pulls and sliders and swivel clasps to make our strap. If you decide to make the strap from faux leather, I use a small width, but for the webbing piece I use a wider width for my webbing for the bonus version. Remember, if you want to hack this into a backpack, you need a second strap and 3 more D-rings. And another strap, of course. Okay. We do need lots of endless zipper tape, and for the bonus version I've used some webbing, but for the classic version I made a strap from faux leather. When it comes to preparing the classic version, it's important that for the front you need to cut a gap into the Decophyllite for the front top zipper pocket, as well as into the foam or the Pelon Thermolam or whatever you use for a volume fleece. So this self-adhesive foam is just really easy to use, and it's like at the end result was really nice too. I really like how that felt, and I can give this a recommendation. See, right here we can feel the gap, so do not cut the gap from the fabric, only from the interfacings. The H250, I've used it for the slip pocket, interior slip pocket, and the back, the slip pocket on the back. So make sure when you cut this piece that you watch out how the design of the fabric is not upside down when you put it on there, because you fold it in half and top stitch. I fused it with H250, but you could also use Decophyllite, but then I would just fuse it on the side, which will be on the outside. We also do need some bias tape. Let's start with making the front. So we will make the classic version first, and if you like to know how the bonus version is done, simply skip to the chapter bonus version. So we will first make the front pocket, but right here you can see all the pieces that we will need. So let's start with the front pocket. Therefore we need our gusset pieces, the zipper and zipper pull, and I folded the gusset zipper piece to the center. I fold the raw edges to the center and gave it a press. And if you have a fabric that folds easily, you can just finger press it, maybe that's enough. And then I secure this with clips. So next we will need a endless zipper piece. So this will be 33 centimeters long or 13 inches. I just eyeball this because it has to be the same length as the gusset zipper piece. Thread a zipper on and make sure the zipper is closing towards the left. And then you simply put the strip that we've just folded on top of the zipper, so the zipper band is in between the fold. And then secure this with clips as well. To make sure that this zipper piece has the correct width, I'd suggest you to measure it, because it needs to be half as tall as the bottom piece. And then you top stitch it and trim off any extra zipper tape if you didn't measure it like I did. So we will take the bottom piece and place it right side up in front of you, and then place the zipper on top aligned by the side edges, and then fold the bottom piece over the zipper panel like a sandwich. Then you have to sew the edges, the short ends, with 1 centimeter 3/8 inch of a seam allowance. Turn your gusset right side out and arrange the raw edges from the bottom piece wrong sides together. If you like to, you can attach your bias tape now, so it'll be sewn into the piece in one step. If you like to do your binding in a traditional way, just simply skip this step and do the binding later. I've basted the pieces together, the bias tape with the gusset. If you don't attach the bias, I suggest you to baste together the bottom piece wrong sides together, so everything will stay in place. Then you take the front pocket piece, main and lining, and put it wrong sides together and baste it together. Mark the top and the bottom center, and then also mark the center on both edges, on the raw edges and on the folded edges of your gusset piece, and align the raw edge center from the zipper to the top and the bottom to the bottom, of course. Start there, attach it with clips, and then make some small snips into the raw edge where it's above the curve of the front pocket. So work your way around the whole piece with clips and take your time for this and adjust, because it should be spread out exactly so that you don't have any folds or wrinkles or anything. And then baste first, and then sew with the correct seam allowance of 7 millimeters, 1/4 of an inch. You don't have to baste first, but it's a suggestion that I always do. I never skip this step. Baste first, sew with the correct seam allowance, and then, since we've attached the bias tape already, we just need to pull it up and fold it over the raw edges, and then top stitch again, and the binding is done. If you didn't attach it in the step before, do the binding now. There's also a link in the pattern on page 7 where you can find a detailed instruction on this binding technique that I've used. So next we will set this aside. I massage the zipper over the bias tape, and then I will take the front piece, so make sure it's the right piece. It's the one with the gap in the decouphelite and the volume fleece. Mark the center on this piece, and then use the template to find the right space on where the front pocket will be sewn onto. So measure from the bottom 1.5 centimeter. 1.5 centimeter is like half an inch. Half an inch is a tiny bit taller than that, but you cannot translate this like to the millimeter exactly. So place it on there, centered, and then trace the outlines of the template, and also trace the markings from the center points. Use this template only as a guide. This is not the law. Let's say the law is your front pocket, so you need to adjust your markings and not the front pocket to the template, because depending on the materials you've used, or maybe the seam allowance you've used, or anything like that, it might change like how your pocket sits. So when you attach it with your needles, first check if the pocket is fitting correctly within your markings. If not, do not correct the pocket, do correct your markings, okay? I hope that makes sense, and I hope you know what I mean. Next up, you just take this to the sewing machine with all your pins and everything connected. I've used some clips, which I cannot suggest because they won't stay in place like that. So if you connect it with pins, it's a lot better than clips. And then you simply stitch your front pocket on your front piece. Take your time, adjust, and make sure that your pins stay in place. And excuse all the wobbly camera shaking, but there was like how can I say this in English? I'm so sorry. That like the thing where I put this on kind of resisted, and also my camera kind of resisted like filming the sewing machine. So never mind. Stitch around the whole front pocket until you get to the beginning. You could also leave a long thread at the beginning and pull it to the back and tie a knot, or just, if you're lazy like I am, just lock your stitch. You get the point. Work your way around and orient yourself on the pins and the markings. So this is what it looks like when it's stitched on, and then I usually fold this a bit out of the way, and now is also the time to remove all the markings, and we can move on to the top zipper. So we'll take the top zipper panel and place it right above the gap from the deco fill. So the fabric pieces are right sides together, and you could also arrange it 3 centimeters or 1/4 of an inch from the top, centered, and then you will hit the right spot. But you could also use your fingers and just feel if it's centered above the gap, and then sew the pieces together within the gap right next to your interfacings. Do not stitch through the interfacings. Then cut the center line, but not all the way, because we will end this in like a V shape. So cut as close into the corner as possible without hurting the seam. It's easier to turn if you cut like really close into the corner, but of course you cannot cut into your stitches. Then put the facing through the hole, shape out everything, all the corners and edges, and give it a press, because like this it will stay like this better, and then you can set it aside. Then take the top zipper pocket pieces fabric and place your zipper, which is 7 inches or 17 centimeters long, with a zipper pull attached, and both pieces are right side up. So the zipper is right side up and the fabric piece is right side up as well. You place it on there on the top edge and sew it with the 7mm seam allowance, 1/4 of an inch. Then fold the fabric away from the zipper and repeat on the other side. Again, sew with 7mm, 1/4 of an inch. Now fold the fabrics away from the zipper and place it in front of you, closing towards the left. Then place the front piece on top, so the gap is right above the spiral of the zipper, or do you say coil in English? Also align the side from the panels and the fabric pieces, and then stitch a rectangle around it. So now you've connected both pieces by stitching a rectangle. Yes, like this. This is what it looks like. Then you fold down the top piece and trim off the extra fabric from the bottom piece like this. Next, we will sew this top zipper pocket together with 1 centimeter seam allowance, 3/8 inch. So the front is almost done. All you need to do for the front is to place the lining piece A together with the main piece wrong sides together. So check if everything's okay, turn it around, and then place the lining piece, the A lining piece, wrong sides together and baste along all the outer edges. Front is done and we can move on to the back. The back is really easy to do. Here you can see all the pieces that we need. We need the slip pocket, we need the zipper pocket, and we need the exterior slip pocket. So like I said, you have to make sure that your fabric design is not upwards, the wrong way up like this. So you fold the wrong sides together in half and top stitch the top edge, and then simply place it on the main fabric piece and baste it on there. Make sure it's straight so both edges on the sides are aligned. And when you've basted it together, we can take care of the interior side of the bag. So first we will make the zipper pocket. So therefore you take the facing and draw rectangle on the back on the wrong side of the fabric. If you use centimeters, you can just simply measure 2 centimeters from every edge to draw this. This is quite quick and easy. And then you place this facing on the other A lining piece, centered and 4 centimeters from the top edge. Then you will stitch them together by sewing along the drawn line. And then cut the center line again, just like we did with the front piece. And also cut into the corners as close as possible, like a V shape. Put the fabric through the hole, shape out the corners and curves and everything, no curves, corners and edges, and give it a press. Now set this aside. We will now take the zipper pocket pieces and a 15 centimeter 6-inch long piece of zipper with a zipper pull attached. Both pieces are right side up, and you place it on the top edge and sew this together with 7 millimeter, 1/4 of an inch. Fold the fabric away from the zipper and repeat with the other piece. Now fold the fabrics away from the zipper, and the zipper is closing towards the left. Place the piece with the gap on top and stitch them together by sewing a rectangle. Fold the fabric down and trim off the extra fabric on the bottom piece, and then sew the 2 pieces together with 1 centimeter seam allowance. Next, you will make the slip pocket. So take the 2 slip pocket pieces and place them right sides together. Sew them with 1 centimeter seam allowance together, but leave an opening at the bottom edge. Trim the curves and the corners on top and turn it right side out through the opening. Give it a press. Shape it out with the tool and then fold the seam allowance of the opening, fold it inwards and give it a press. When that is done, you just top stitch the top edge. I didn't show that in particular here, but you need to top stitch the top edge and then place it 4 centimeters from the bottom edge, 1.5 inches from the bottom edge centered, but make sure you fold the zipper pocket out of the way because we don't want to stitch through the zipper pocket. And then you stitch your slip pocket onto the A piece, and now we can put the 2 pieces wrong sides together and baste them together as well. So your back is done, except if you want to make like this small backpack hack. If you want to turn your Celia into a backpack, we need to add some D-rings for the back, but this is just if you want to. This is like an extra. So I will take some fabric scraps, which is 15 centimeters long, 6 inches, and double the width of the D-rings that I'm using. I fold it towards the center and then top stitch, and then divide it into 3 equal pieces. So each piece is 5 centimeters now, 2 inches, and then I thread a D-ring on each tab. We need 1 D-ring on top and 1 on each side. So mark your center on your main fabric piece and align 1 D-ring tab to the top and the other 2 to the sides. Let them stand over slightly a little bit, and then baste them in place. This is about 2 centimeters from the bottom edge, 3/4 of an inch, and maybe like 3/8 inch standing over the edge, 1 centimeter standing over the edge, and then baste in place, and your back is done. Now we will make the gusset piece. So this is the classic version. So we will make the handle first. We do need a lot of hardware as well because our zipper is here in the piece. But first let's make the handle. So I use some Vigofil, which is really good for like upholstery fabrics to make. No, it's used in upholstery, but you could also use some Decophyllite, but maybe don't fuse it on there because it has a curve. The handle has a curve, so if it's fused on there, it might get a bit wavy. So place the strip of your interfacing on the inside of your bottom piece and secure with clips or double-sided tape like you see here in the video. And for the top fabric, I used another strip of Vigofil as well. If you have like a thick fabric, you don't really need this. It's just me personally how I like it. So I gave that one a press before I folded it towards the center, and with the strap on the inside I placed it centered on top of the bottom because I want to have like a contrast. The top is smaller than the bottom, so make sure it's centered so you can see equally on each side sticking out. So work your way until you get to the end. You could use tape. I like to use clips on that and then give it a top stitch. So I trim off any extra Vigofil and I have my strap right here, and I will set this aside because we will take care of the main zipper closure. So therefore we will need a long piece of zipper, the same length as our main zipper panel. So the zipper piece is 45 centimeters, 17¾ an inch, and this time I will thread 2 zipper pulls on this piece, so you can open it like with 2 zippers. I really prefer that. So place this right sides together on one piece main fabric, and then take the lining fabric and put it right side down on top and sew this edge with 7mm 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Fold the fabrics away from the zipper and top stitch. Attach the other edge of the zipper in the same way. So zipper and main are right sides together, lining is right side down on top. You sew with 7mm as well, and then fold the fabrics together and top stitch. Decide on which side you would like to have your handle but don't forget to fold the fabric, the lining fabric, out of the way because we don't want to stitch through the lining. Now I'll make 2 markings on my handle, 8 centimeters, 3 inches from both short ends, and then I will place this on the main fabric, 2 centimeters from the edge, 3/4 of an inch from the side, from the long edge, and then I will stitch it on there until I get to the first marking. I do not stitch like in the same stitches that we did from top stitching the handle, I will sew right next to it. It's just, I like this look a lot better. If you stitch on stitch, it looks a bit messy sometimes. So as you can see, I stitch right next to it. So I stitch a rectangle, and then I will thread a D-ring on the handle. And then I will take a piece of chalk and make a marking as close as I can to the D-ring, like where I can stitch, where I can start the next rectangle. And this one will be then 2 centimeters tall, 3/4 of an inch tall. I measure it, make a marking. So I will stitch a second rectangle right here. To protect my D-ring and my machine, I will put a little piece of faux leather on top of the D-ring so that I won't scratch it with my sewing foot. And I suggest you to use like something to lift up the sewing foot if you go around, because otherwise your stitches might get wonky. And when the second rectangle is sewn, don't forget to thread the second D-ring onto your handle. Like here, I put something underneath the back of my foot, and then you can leave a long thread and pull it to the back and tie a knot if you like. It looks a bit nicer than top stitching. No, not top stitching, that was the wrong word. It looks nicer than locking the stitches like too much. If you have like a thick stitch, that's just that's if you have like a dark fabric, maybe that's okay. But you see right here, I thread the second D-ring on there, and then I will connect the other side of the handle in the same way. So first we will stitch 8 centimeters up right until the marking that we made before, and stitches are next to the stitches from the top stitching. And then you can pull down, you can put down the D-ring to have it in the correct spot, and then make a marking, measure 2 centimeters, 3/4 of an inch, and then stitch a second rectangle in the same way by leaving a long thread so you don't have to lock your stitch, and then pull your thread through to the back and tie 2 or 3 knots to secure it. To give the handle some extra strength, I will add some rivets. So when you add the rivets and you punch your holes, make sure you don't punch them through the stitches. So I make one underneath and one above the D-ring into the rectangle, but feel free to add as much as you like. And then I will just install them for some extra strength. So handles attached, it's looking good. And then you can baste together all the raw edges with the lining and the main fabrics being in place. And next we will attach the bottom piece from the gusset. I forgot to add the volume, so I will just simply stick it on there. It's just really easy to do. And then I will place this right sides together with the zipper panel, put the lining on top, and then sew this with 1 centimeter seam allowance. Fold the fabrics wrong sides together and top stitch. Repeat this on the other side. So the main fabrics are right sides together and the lining fabrics are right sides together. That's easy to remember. Sew this edge with 1 centimeter, 3/8 inch, and trim off any extra zipper if you use the longer zipper piece, and then top stitch this edge as well. And you know me, when I do binding, I always attach my bias tape to the gusset so it's sewn in one step. So remember, if you don't do this, baste together the main and the lining fabric before moving on to the next step, so everything stays where it should stay. So my bias tape is attached to both edges of the gusset. And what else is there to do than just assembly? Let me think. The strap, yeah. But we're almost at the last step, let's say it like that, okay? Mark the top and bottom centers on both edges, and then we can assemble our bag finally and see what it looks like when it's done. This is so exciting. So these are the three pieces: the front, the back, and the gusset. So what is there to think about? We have a handle attached on the gusset, so the handle needs to be connected to the side from the back. So the edge without the handle will be attached to the front. Don't mix that up, okay? So we will start with the front. So you place the front right side up in front of you and place the gusset on top, right sides together. Align it with the top and the bottom center first, and make sure it's the edge where the handle is not attached to. Make some small snips in the gusset piece where it's right above the curves of the front, and work yourself around the whole piece, attaching it together with clips. Then baste them together first, then sew with 7mm, 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. So you're making 2 rounds. Here you can see all of the basting and the regular stitching. And then since I've attached my bias, I just need to pull it up, fold it towards the raw edge and fold over again, secure with clips and give it a top stitch. If you still need to do it, do the binding now. So looking good, everything is caught in the stitches. Now we need to attach the back to the gusset in exactly the same way. We start with the top centers. This is the edge with the handle attached. Then we will align the bottom and then make small snips in the curvy section, secure it with clips. Baste first and then sew the 2 pieces together with 7mm seam allowance. When the pieces are connected, fold over the bias, fold it towards the raw edge, fold over again and secure with clips. Give it a top stitch and then your bag is done. Okay, best moment in bag making: turning the bag right side out and seeing it for the first time. This is just so exciting, and usually I walk around in my kitchen while I turn my bag right side out. Yeah, I'm sewing in my kitchen. I don't have a sewing room. So I turn the bag right side out and then take the time to fold and put all the creases and everything, make sure that it's formed out nicely, shaped out nicely. Give it a press if you can at some pieces and admire your work. You've made it. Well, you have to make a strap, but before we make the straps, I will show you how the bonus version is done. So we will start with the front as well. Here you can see the pieces for both front pockets. So it's basically front pocket 2 on front pocket 1. And so we will make the front pocket 2 first, then attach it to front pocket 1. So you take the gusset, the zipper gusset piece, mark the center and fold the raw edges towards the center. If you can, give it a press. If you have a fabric like I do, which stays kind of in place, which is really good foldable fabric, you don't need to. So fold it to the center, fold over again. You now have 4 layers of fabric on top of each other. Secure it with clips, and next up, prepare your zipper. The zipper has the same length as this strip of fabric, so thread a zipper pull on your zipper piece, which is 27 centimeters long. And then make sure the zipper closes towards the left, and then attach the strip on the top edge of the zipper, so it's inside this fold. Make sure that your zipper piece is now as wide as half of the bottom piece. Give it a top stitch to secure both pieces together, and place it on the right side of the bottom, the gusset bottom piece for this front pocket 1. And it needs to be half the width as the bottom piece. You fold it over so it's sandwiched in between the right sides of the bottom piece, and you sew the short ends with 1 centimeter seam allowance, 3/8 inch seam allowance. Then you fold the gusset right side out and fold the raw edges of the bottom piece, of the bottom strip, fold it together, align it, and baste it together. If you like to, attach the bias tape in this one step. You'll find a description, like a detailed tutorial on page 7. You can click on it and watch the YouTube video on how I do my binding. So I attach this to the inside of this ring, of this gusset. And this is what it looks like when it's done. And then don't forget to mark the centers. So mark the centers on both edges. Like the raw edges, no problems. You can make like snips in it. On the other edge is a folded edge. You need to use a marker, chalk. You can use some tape like I do, and then draw a marking on there. It's important that you do not lose the center of this gusset to attach it to the front pocket 1 later. Now take front pocket main and lining pieces, front pocket 2, and place them wrong sides together and baste them together, and mark the centers as well. And we will align the raw edge of the gusset, the top first, then the bottom. And for a better fit, I suggest you to make some small snips in the piece of the gusset where it's right above the curves. It's easier to attach like that, and it sits smoother on it. So when you've made the cuts, make sure they're just as small so they will be hidden in the seam allowance. So really tiny cuts, not cuts, snips. Then use some clips to attach the whole gusset piece to the front pocket. Take your time for this and make sure everything sits right in place. When that is done, baste the pieces together first and then sew with 7mm 3/4 inch seam allowance. Here you can see the basting and the correct stitching, the correct seam allowance. And since I've attached my bias tape, I simply pull it up, fold it towards the raw edge, fold over again, secure with clips, and then top stitch. Looking good. Then I turn it and then have a look if everything looks nice, if I have all of my markings still on there, especially with chalk. I always have problems seeing my markings, but you will see this on the front pocket 1 now. So you take front pocket 1 main fabric and place the template on top 1.5 centimeters from the bottom, 3/4 of an inch, a little bit less if you like. I will make a marking here, and I will mark the center as well. You have to make sure that the template sits on your front pocket straight, and then you will trace the outlines from the template for front pocket 1. It says front pocket 2 here. Don't be confused by that. I've made a lot of changes to my template pieces. And I have to say this, for some people the templates did work really good, and for some they did not. So the templates are used as a guide. They are not the law. So if you draw the outlines and then you place the pocket on top, make sure it sits right. If it doesn't sit right, don't adjust the pocket to the marking. Adjust the marking so the pocket sits right. So if you have to make it taller, make the markings taller. So use the templates as a guide. It depends on your fabrics, your materials, your way of sewing. It can differ in millimeters, and it's really hard to make them 100%. So adjust them to your needs, okay? Then attach the center markings. First use some pins and check again if it fits right, and if it doesn't, make adjustments on your markings. Then you will take this to your sewing machine and simply stitch it on along your markings, okay? Just stitch it on like a top stitch. When that is done, remove your markings and check if the pocket sits right, okay? And I know this is probably the hardest part of the Celia, is making adding the front pockets onto the front piece. So if that is done, have a coffee or have a wine, I don't know what time it is, and rest a bit, okay? So when the front pocket is attached to the other front pocket, don't forget to put the lining piece and the main fabric pieces wrong sides together and baste them together, and then prepare the second gusset ring in the exactly same way that we did with front pocket 2. So we fold the raw edges towards the center, fold over again, so we have 4 layers on top of each other, secure them with clips, and then take a piece of zipper which has the same length as your fabric strip. Thread the zipper pull onto this zipper tape. Make sure it's closing towards the left because we want all of our zippers closing in the same direction. And then attach this folded strip on the top edge of your zipper band. Check if the width of your zipper band is half the width as your gusset bottom piece for this front pocket. And then, yes, Sarah, wait a bit. Okay, I'll wait. Secure with clips. Then place the bottom piece right side up in front of you and align. Oh no, top stitch first. I'm sorry. Yes, top stitch the 2 pieces together. I'm so sorry. I'm getting silly right now. I have to control myself. Okay. Focus, Sarah. Take the bottom piece right side up and place the zipper right side up on top. Sandwich it in between the bottom piece Secure with clips and sew the short ends with 1 centimeter 3/8" seam allowance. Turn the gusset right side out and fold the bottom piece so the raw edges are aligned and baste them together. If you're attaching bias, like I do this in the same step. So basting together the raw edges and attaching the bias, I will do this in one step. When that is done, don't forget to mark your centers. Mark the top and the bottom center on the raw edge and on the folded edge as well. You can use the marker or you can use masking tape. Now we will attach the gusset to the front pocket one, again in the same way. Top and bottom centers first. Make some snips in the gusset piece where it's above the curvy section of the front pocket. Attach clips all along the outer edges. Make sure everything is straight. And then sew with baste first, and then sew with 7mm, 1/4" seam allowance. Right afterwards, simply close the bias tape, or no, you say in English, finish the raw edges with your bias tape. Next, for this front pocket needs to be attached to the front piece itself. So remember, we don't have a gap in our decofill or in our interfacing of the A main piece, because that was just supposed to be for the classic version. So I hope you've made it like that as well. But before we can attach it, we do need to add our handle. So we want both of our handles to be exactly the same, so we will make 2 handles at the same time. So we will need 2 pieces of webbings, each being 45 centimeters long, 17 3/4", and we will place them right next to each other so they are exactly the same. Then we will make 2 markings, 8 centimeters 3" from each short end, because this is the we will sew together the center from marking to marking. So fold the raw edges on top of each other like this. You fold it in half, secure it with clips, and then stitch the webbing together from marking to marking. Of course, we will do this with the second handle in the same way and keep comparing if they are the same. So now you can see they're both sewn together, and then we will fold the short ends over for 2.5 centimeters, 1" folded to the wrong side, to the back, on all short ends. And then take one strap, if you've compared them again, if they have the same length, adjust if necessary, and then you will put one to the side, and we will need this for the back. When the front is done, we will use this one. Looking good. One out of the way, and the next one we'll attach it to the front. So this is the front main fabric piece. So I will make a marking 7 centimeters from the top edge, which is 2 3/4", and then on this masking tape I will make another marking 4 centimeters from each short from each side, 1.5 inches from each side. I will make a marking on my masking tape, and I don't need to pin the strap on there. I just take it to my sewing machine and stitch it on and hold it like this, and then I will stitch a rectangle or an X box on top of this so it's sewn together, and then repeat this with the back as well and compare them if they are the same. So when the handle is stitched on, you have to make sure that it's not twisted, of course, but it's a short handle, so this won't really happen. I will never say never, sir. So this is like straight, looking good. Do this to the front and the back, and then we are making the front, so we need to attach the front pocket, and we will place the template 1.5 centimeters, 3/4 of an inch from the bottom edge onto our main fabric, and trace the outlines of the template onto our piece. This will be like over the webbing and everything, that's okay, but still, if you open the pocket, you will see the webbing. So this is why we folded it over, so it's looking nice and tidy. Also transfer the center markings and proceed the same way as we did before. We will start with the top, then the bottom, and then make our way around the piece, checking if it fits nicely on the drawn line, and then we will adjust if necessary. If it doesn't fit right, adjust our markings, maybe make it taller or maybe make it less taller, adjust it so it's fitting your personal front pocket, and then take it to your sewing machine and simply stitch it on there. And take your time for this, do this slowly and go stitch by stitch and simply stitch it on there. So the front pocket is attached to the front. All we need to do is to attach the backing. So we need to put the lining fabric and the main fabric wrong sides together. First, shape out everything and check if you attach this like in a straight, nice way. And then place the lining fabric on top, wrong sides together, and baste along the outer edges. The front is done. We can now make the back. So we've attached the handle to the back already. All we need to attach is our slip pocket. So fold it wrong sides together and top stitch, and then place it on your back. Make sure it's straight and baste it on there. Mark the center, the top and the bottom. And this is done the same way as for the classic version, but in case you didn't do the classic version, of course we're going to talk it through together step by step. So take the facing for the interior zipper pocket and draw a rectangle on the wrong side of the fabric. In centimeters, it's 2 centimeters from each edge, so this is easy to do. And then place it on the A lining piece, right sides together, centered, and 4 centimeters from the top edge, 1.5 inches from the top edge, and sew along the drawn rectangle to connect the two pieces together. Then cut the center line, but not all the way. Let this cut end in the V shape to cut as close into the corner as you can without hurting the seam. Do not cut into your stitches. Then push the facing through the hole and give it a press. Shape out the corners and edges and give it a press. Next, prepare the zipper pocket. So therefore you will need the 2 zipper pocket pieces and a zipper with a pull. So the zipper is 6 inches long, 15 centimeters. Thread the pull on the zipper piece and place it right side up on the right side of one zipper pocket piece. Sew the top edge with 7 millimeters seam allowance, 1/4 of an inch. Fold the fabric away and repeat on the other piece. See, the zipper is now closing towards the left, and you place the A piece on top with the gap right above the zipper, and then stitch the two pieces together by sewing a rectangle around the zipper. Then fold the upper fabric down, trim the extra fabric from the bottom piece, and sew the edges and the bottom with 1 centimeter 3/8" seam allowance. Trim off any extra zipper tape, and next prepare the slip pocket. Therefore, you place the two slip pocket pieces right sides together. Sew them together with 1 centimeter seam allowance 3/8", but leave an opening here in the bottom. Trim the seam allowance in the curvy section and the top corners. Turn the piece right side out, shape out the corners and the curves, and give it a press. Fold the seam allowance from the opening inwards, give it a press and then a top stitch. Then place the slip pocket on your A piece, but don't forget to fold the zipper pocket out of the way so it won't get caught in your stitches. So the zipper pocket is placed 4 centimeters from the bottom edge and centered. So stitch it on there, and now place the two pieces wrong sides together and baste them together. And just like that, the back is done and we can make the gusset. Here you can see all the pieces that we need for the gusset. And since we need to attach our D-rings as well, and we don't have a handle this time, we do need 2 tabs to attach them to our gusset, and the 2 D-rings of course. So thread 2 zipper pulls to a 45 centimeters long piece of zipper, which is 17 3/4 inches long. So when the zipper pulls are attached to the zipper, place it right sides together with 1 main fabric gusset zipper piece. Align it by the top edge. Place a lining piece on top, right side down, and sew the top edge with 7 millimeter, 1/4 inch seam allowance. Next, fold the fabrics away from the zipper so they are wrong sides together, and top stitch. Now repeat this with the other edge of the zipper. Right sides together with the main fabric, and then the lining on top. Okay, trim any extra first if you did it like I did. So right sides together, lining on top, and sew this edge with 7 millimeter seam allowance, 1/4 inch. Fold the fabrics away and give it a top stitch as well. Now decide on which side your D-ring attachments will be, because this will be the back, or let's prepare them first. So take the 2 tabs and mark the center, fold the raw edges towards the center, and then top stitch. Thread a D-ring on each tab, and do not thread it through all the way. Let the short ends meet right behind the tab. So in the center you have a raw edge. Secure it with clips and repeat with the second D-ring. And we will place this tab on our gusset piece with the raw edge hidden behind it. So the front will be, it won't be visible. So this is the back and this is the front. Now take the zipper piece and fold the lining out of the way I didn't show it in this picture. Make a marking 8 centimeters, 3 inch, but we don't want to stitch through the lining. So it's 2 centimeters from the raw edge and baste it on there with a rectangle. Here you can see it. It's 8 centimeters from the short end and 2 centimeters from the sides, so it won't get caught in the seam allowance later. You could also use like these side attachments, but then make sure it's not 8 centimeters from the bottom, so a bit higher where your D-ring would sit. I would say about 11 centimeters. I'm sorry. But in this case, we've used the D-rings, so for extra strength, I will punch holes and attach rivets. In this case, I decided I wanted 2 rivets on each D-ring, but my rivets were too high, so I've used an inlay to make them fit better. Again, if you stitch the D-ring tab on your gusset piece, make sure it's right next to the top stitching and not through the top stitching. See, now we can fold the lining piece back and then baste it together. You could also fuse something over it to protect your fabric. Fuse some Decophyllite over the rivets if you like, if it's not too bulky. So now we will take the gusset bottom piece and put the main fabrics right sides together, and then we will put the lining fabrics right sides together and sew the short end with 1 centimeter 3/8 inch seam allowance. Next, fold the fabrics wrong sides together, the bottom pieces wrong sides together, and top stitch. Repeat the same process with the other edge. See, I've made like a U shape, so I didn't need to top stitch, just a small hack. I saw that on Instagram somewhere. I can't remember where I saw this, but it's a very, very good hack for top stitching these parts. And again, sew the short end with 1 centimeter seam allowance. Fold the fabrics so the bottom pieces, lining and main, are wrong sides together, and top stitch. Next, I will attach my bias tape to the gusset to both edges. Feel free to do so as well. If you don't, baste together along the whole gusset piece so everything will stay in place. Next, we will mark the top and the bottom center on both edges and assemble our bag. Before assembly, keep in mind the D-rings are attached to one side of the zipper panel, and the side with the D-rings attached will be attached to the back of our bag. Mark all the centers, and then we will begin by attaching the gusset to the front piece. Like, put the handle out of the way so it won't get caught in any stitches. Remember, do not take this edge. This one will be connected to the back. We will take the one without the D-ring attachment. Open up the zipper, align the top center first, then the bottom center, and make small make small slits into the gusset piece where it's above the curvy section. Attach the whole gusset with clips to the front, then baste first, and after basting, sew with 7mm seam allowance, 1/4 inch. Then pull the bias tape up, fold it towards the raw edge, fold over again and secure with clips, and simply top stitch. If you haven't attached it, now is the time to finish your raw edges with binding. So the front is attached now, and we can do the same thing with our back. We will start at the top center, then the bottom, and we will make small, why is that so hard for me to say in English? Small snips into the gusset. Then we will baste first and sew with 7mm seam allowance, and afterwards simply finish the edges with binding. Okay, drum roll please. Time to turn the bag right side out. So if you have vinyl which is really stiff, a small advice or tip will be use a blow dryer and warm it up. It's easier to turn if you have stiff fabric, or if it's winter and you have your heater on anyways, just place it next to the heater for a little bit so it warms up. And yes, this is like the final step, or the one step before the final step. So shape off all the bumps and creases and everything. Give it a press if you can, and then admire your work. You can be really proud. This is not an easy make. In this chapter I will show you how to make straps. The first option will be like from faux leather. So I've made a 4-fold, so whatever hardware you use, you take 4 times the width, and then you fold the raw edges towards the center, fold over again and top stitch, and then you have this strap made. So first you will thread a slider on one short end, and then in this case I decided I didn't use like this hardware, the strap ends, in such a long time, and I really wanted to use them. So yes, you have to watch me how to use the hardware. It's quite fast to be doing this, but these tiny screws, they get on my nerves, let's say like that. So I've attached the zipper end, and then I will make 2 markings for my rivets. If you don't have rivets, you could also stitch the pieces together. I just like the look of it, and with 2 stitches, 2 rivets, you're on the safe side for strength, and that it will hold your bag. Then I will punch through to the other side of the other webbing to mark where my holes need to be, and I punch 2 more holes, and then simply attach 2 rivets to my faux leather strap, which is folded over. This rivet didn't look nice, so watch out if you have like a big bag of rivets. Sometimes you do have 1 or 2 in there that need to be dumped. And then close the rivets, and next we will take a swivel clasp on the other short end and thread it through the whole thing. So make sure it's not twisted. Put the swivel clasp on there, and then thread the end of the strap through the slider again. Now take the second swivel clasp and put the strap through it, and of course now we have to install a strap end. And then again I will fold it over and see how I like it, and then I will make 2 markings with a pen, punch holes, then take my poking tool there and poke through the holes on where I want to have them. So I have 2 markings here. I know where to punch. I punch 2 more holes and then attach 2 more rivets, and the strap is done. Remember, if you did the hack for the backpack, you would have to make a second one. Okay, so in this case I've just made 1, and now I will show you how I made a strap from webbing for the bonus version, because we've used webbing for our handles, so the strap will be from the same webbing. In this case my webbing is 4 centimeters wide, so I will need a slider matching the side size of my webbing, I will thread it on the short end, fold the short end over a little bit, like maybe 2 or 3 centimeters, and then stitch it together by stitching a rectangle. When that is done, you can thread swivel clasp on the other end of the webbing, same as we did before, and then thread it through the slide. A lot of th. Thread it through the slider again. Put the second swivel clasp on there, and then fold over again. Oh, there's a little thingy on my webbing. I hate it. Oh no, never mind, move on. So put the second swivel clasp on the end, fold over again, like fold over twice, and then sew a rectangle, and your strap from webbing is done. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you really love your Celia that you've done, whether it's the classic or the bonus version. Why don't you hop over to Facebook to Social Bag Makers and show us your pictures and what you've done. So let's sew many bags together in the future. Check out my patterns, and I see you later.